Today I'm bringing you my most common pickleball mistakes I see beginners make and coaching tips on how to fix each mistake. The following coaching recommendations are going to help you stay safe on the court, improve your court positioning, while also helping you with fundamental technique. So let's get into it. The first mistake that I have for you guys is that players will often backpedal when covering a lob. And this can be dangerous because this is when a player may misstep, fall, and hit the back of their head. And since we want everybody to be safe on the court, it's important that you utilize the proper footwork when hitting the overhead. Let me start by showing you how to do it incorrectly and then the fix. So the player receives the lob, backpedals, and hits the ball. Notice how my shoulders and hips are square to the wall. When you receive a lob, you have two options for footwork to execute your overhead effectively. The first option is to utilize side steps. To utilize your side steps, what you want to do is you want to turn your shoulders and hips so then your core is facing the side fence, lower your body weight down, and then you're going to shuffle your feet back and forth to where your feet aren't touching. But this is very helpful because the side steps allow you to adjust forwards and backwards to a ball that's in the air without throwing yourself off balance. Here's a quick drill that you can utilize to improve your side step footwork to execute your overheads. You're going to be facing the wall, and then when you get lobbed, you turn your feet, shuffle back, and catch the ball in your left hand. So when I hit this, I'm adjusting and I want to catch the ball out in front of my head where I'm going to be in a good spot to make contact with an overhead. Notice how after I feed the ball, I immediately get turned so that I'm in a good position to sidestep. I'm going to extend my left hand and have my paddle up so I'm prepared to make my shot. Your left hand is also a tool to help you track the ball into your paddle. Ideally, after you're set up, you should feel like you're in a good position to go forward and hit your overhead shot. The second footwork option that you have when covering a lob is to perform a crossover step. For a right-handed player, the way that you're going to do a crossover step is that you're going to take your left leg and you're going to cross it over your right leg. And this step covers a lot of ground. If I go to side step, I'm going to cover this much ground. If I do a crossover step, I get almost double the amount of coverage, but it is more of an athletic move. So here's how you do it in pickleball. You're facing forward, you identify that you're getting lobbed, you turn your shoulders and hips, so now your chest is facing the side fence, and then you take your right leg, cross it over, shuffle before you step in and bang your overhead ideally. Here's a drill that you can utilize by yourself to work on your crossover step. On this drill, you're going to need to feed the ball a little bit harder against the wall to get it to go the distance that you need to perform the crossover step. Same fundamentals as the last drill. Turn your shoulders and hips, cross, set up and catch with your left hand. These drills are really helpful for developing your side steps and your crossover steps, and you may have noticed when I'd feed the ball harder against the wall, I would do a crossover step and then go into side steps. And this has become pretty automatic with my tennis background. That is kind of ingrained that when you see the ball go up, your shoulders and hips turn, you cross over, and then you do side steps. And with practice, you'll be able to identify that too. You'll know based on how your opponent hits the ball, the speed, the contact, whether you should just be doing the side steps or if that ball is going to carry deep and be a very good lob, if you should incorporate that crossover before you go into your shuffles. With time, you'll get it, it'll become automatic. Another common mistake I see players make is that they rush or run through their strokes. And this is very common to see players do on return of serve or on approach shots. What ends up happening is that they're ready to make their shot, and as they're striking the ball, they're thinking about getting up to the kitchen line or approaching that non-volley zone, and they're eager to get into position, but they haven't completed their stroke. So they end up running as they're hitting, which ends up causing errors. Usually puts a little bit too much power on the return and it goes long. And generally on approach shots, it just ends up being an unforced error. So let me show you what that looks like and then some ways to fix it. First mistake is the player receives the ball where they're on the run. They just kind of keep running through the ball rather than getting their feet prepared for the stroke. Another common one is that they receive a deep serve and they start moving forward before they return, which just adds more power on to the stroke, which causes the ball to potentially go long. There are a few things that you can do to improve your preparation on your approach shots and your return of serves. The first one is to see the ball come off your opponent's paddle as best as you can. This may provide you with cues and clues to help you react and prepare for the oncoming ball just a little bit sooner. Once you read the ball and you see where it's going to be, you can also try to get your feet to where they need to be and settle before you commit to taking that step into your return or your approach shot. By settling right before you hit, it'll help you keep everything calm at contact and your body still, so then you make as good of contact as you possibly can. All the components trying to work them together. See it, set, hold. The next set of mistakes that I have are geared more towards former tennis players because they think that pickleball is like tennis, but it's not. I can speak to this being a former tennis player, and I have definitely made each one of these mistakes. The first mistake is taking too big of a backswing. Since this is a pickleball court, it's fairly compact. This ball is made up out of plastic, so you don't need to do a whole lot to get the ball to go and keep it in the court. Number two, pickleball is a game of time and you want to get up to net. By having shorter, more compact strokes, it limits the variables that can cause unforced errors. You're much better off simplifying your game and moving up to net where you can have more of a controlled game and keeping everything out in front than having long looping strokes that could just cause variability and unforced errors. Bottom line is, if you keep your strokes more compact and simplified, you're going to have better success in pickleball. Another common mistake that tennis players make is that they rely on a high to low volley where you're creating backspin on your volleys, which is the right way to do it in tennis and not the best option in pickleball. If you guys watched John Isner play pickleball, he was doing this over and over again, and it looks like it's all set up for a great ball. He goes high to low through, and the ball just doesn't lift the same. It hits the tape, loses the point. So in pickleball, you want to go more top spin on your volleys, and the reason being is because it's going to create some lift, and it's also going to give you some dip, so then the ball doesn't carry long. By going high to low through the volley, the ball goes more straight and kind of sails, and that's not what you want, because oftentimes your opponents are trying to put the ball in the non-volley zone, so it's below net level, so you got to get the racket head below hand and get under where you can get the ball to have some lift and some top spin, so then it dips into the court. The last mistake I see players make is that when they're at the kitchen line or the non-volley zone, they end up doing crossover steps on their volleys. And this is a very bad habit because it promotes reaching and being extended, which is not what you want in pickleball, because you want to be able to recover, and dinking is more of a strategic game. So your opponent is going to be trying to pull you out of position where you're going to hit some pop-ups that they can take advantage of. So rather than crossing over, you want to maintain more of an open stance and adjust with your shuffle steps to cover the court and to recover when you're at the non-volley line. That will help you play better pickleball. I'm sure you've seen these common mistakes done on the pickleball court before. Share it with a partner or a friend, subscribe, and I will see you guys on the next video. Take care. Oh! Cut the film.
I'll take it.